A man says he was violated by tests at an Iowa treatment facility performed on the most private parts of his body.
He spoke with KCCI Chief Investigative Reporter James Stratton about what happened and when he was under the care of the state.
A warning, some of what you are about to hear is graphic.
They put the wire on my private parts. Well, I have to do it, and put like wires on my fingers and around my chest. And I had to sit there for like 2 hours.
The man you're about to meet did not want his name or face to be shared.
Hi, James.
But he and his mom wanted to share his story about what they say happened to him inside the Woodward Resource Center in Boone County. He left Woodward in 2016, but this man says what he went through in 2005 still lingers today. He says with those wires hooked to him, he was shown images to see what made him aroused.
Pictures of little kids and half naked, not like full naked, but diapers, underwear, and stuff like that.
It was all part of a test known as a penile plethysmograph study, or PPG. His mother Sharon received a letter explaining the study and signed off on it. The study was described as a, quote, great benefit in establishing treatment goals and an unbiased way of measuring progress, end quote. Sharon says the test was used to determine whether or not her son had a sexual interest in kids.
Had inappropriate sexual boundaries due to his limitations, but no, he'd never been charged, arrested, accused of anything, of any sexual crimes with adults or children.
Looking back on it, she says she would have questioned whether Woodward had evidence of her son's sexual interests.
If they couldn't cite any evidence after he was there, I probably would not have agreed to it.
A retired Woodward employee who did not want to be named said the man confided in him after that test was conducted and still continues to this day.
It is graphic, and I understand why he feels so uncomfortable about it now. I think with maturity, like I said before, I think you look back on things, you know, and as you mature, you're like, hey, this is kind of messed up. I feel that the system failed in some areas.
The Iowa Department of Health and Human Services operates the Woodward Resource Center and acknowledges PPG tests were performed with guardian consent, but stopped in 2012 due to other methods becoming more available that were not physically invasive. HHS told KCCI Investigates it does not keep track of the number of PPG tests that were performed and would not speak about this case specifically, but said they were performed on residents with problematic sexual behaviors to determine the risk of recurring behavior. HHS said PPG studies are a legitimate tool used in a clinical setting to measure sexual arousal.
As his mom, to know that they were going to have to do this test and put the electrodes on his penis, certainly I was uncomfortable. And yeah, bothered, upset.
Governor Reynolds announced Glenwood Resource Center will be closing for good.
Her son says he decided to call KCCI Investigates after the state announced in February its plan to shutter a different facility, the Glenwood Resource Center in southwest Iowa. It will be closed in 2024 after a Department of Justice investigation found the state relied too heavily on institutions for people with disabilities. That report found that the state reliance on keeping people in the Woodward and Glenwood facilities violates the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Absolutely, he was there too long.
Now out of the state's care for years and getting treatment in another state, this mother and her son agree with that report's findings. Though she acknowledges treatment at Woodward did help her son overcome his disability.
He eventually was able to get the appropriate care that he needed, and for him to grow and change, to be able to function better in the community.
She and the former employee say the man is still affected to this day by that PPG study.
He said that he went into Woodward with problems, and he come out of there with problems.
And we also reached out to the social worker who wrote and signed that letter that you saw sent to the man's mom for permission for the test. She did not respond to our multiple requests for comment. Iowa Department of Health and Human Services did answer questions, as you saw, via email and spoke with us via Zoom, but did not agree to multiple requests for an on-camera interview.